I'll prove it to you. Chase, you ever been or even heard of a realtor retirement party?
No,
You ever been invited to one? Yeah,
never been to one.
Nope, never been to one, right? So that's why some of these are getting their CE with walkers, because they're like, well, shoot, a closing's $15,000. That's kind of good money.
Welcome to the Jeff Sutherland Show. Let's grow today as we learn from decades of real estate and leadership experience.
We want you to know that when you log into this show, you're going to get authentic conversation. We're going to give it to you straight, and it's going to be real. Hey, everybody. Jeff Sutherland on the Jeff Sutherland Show. I got a couple of my best buddies today on the show, Matt Stewart out of Sacramento, California, and Chase Waldren, my business partner. It's going to be a great day. Before we get to Matt, a couple things about the market. Right now, Chase and I, we are busy. And it's kind of cool because most of the cities in Phoenix have been in sellers markets for a long time. And a couple months ago, I predicted what would happen, and it has happened. Many of those cities that were in sellers markets have now fallen into buyers markets. And a lot of the cities on the periphery of the valley are in full-blown buyers markets. The cities on the periphery go in first. They're the first into a buyer's market, and they're the last out. And the cities that are in the middle of the city typically are the last in and the first out. And the reason is because these cities on the periphery, if they start seeing prices go down in cities like Gilbert and Tempe and Chandler, then they start coming in town, and then that supply is absorbed. So the buyers markets in those inner cities don't last as long as the ones out and about. So it's interesting what's happening right now. Chase and I are getting people into tremendous deals, especially on the new builds. Chase, wouldn't you agree? The concessions and the incentives right now from builders are extremely good.
Yeah. Builders are offering a lot of stuff, rate buy downs, additional upgrades to the home, move-in packages, a bunch of different things. It's really great. Every new build's a little bit different, but the majority of the communities you go into are offering a lot of incentives to try to get buyers into homes. So it's really been beneficial for the people who don't mind going a little bit on the outskirts of town where there are a lot of these new build communities are popping up. So it's really been good.
Yep. So reach out to us, my friends, if you want some more information on how to buy in Phoenix. We've only had about 4 buyers markets since 2020. That's it. And we're in one right now. So now's the time. And when rates start to trickle down, and we hope they do, chances are prices don't go down when rates go down. The prices will moderate and start to go up again. So now's the time to get in. So let's talk about our guest, Matt Stewart. This guy is such a good friend of mine. I look up to him in so many ways. His family's been in real estate his whole life. He's been in real estate over 25 years. In fact, when he was with Keller Williams, he was the top recruiter out of his office out of Roseville, California. You may have heard of that place. He was a part owner in 3 market centers. With EXP, he actually has more than 200 people in his organization, and it continues to grow. He's really known as somebody that's very helpful, and he's such a good tactician. He understands so much about this industry, and I'm just blessed to have him as a friend. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what he has going on with his Empty Nestor Diaries YouTube page. It's legit, and all the other things. So Matt, welcome to the show, bro.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me. Chase, good to see you again. And I love the market update before the podcast. I mean, if anybody would know what's going on in the market, it's you, Jeff. You've been out there selling. I mean, how long's it been? 20, 25 years? It's been a long time.
Going on 25 years in January. Yep.
Yeah. Killing it. I love it. So, yeah. And this is great. This medium here, having the podcast. I appreciate you, thinking of me and having me on.
Well, you're one of the best leaders in America in the real estate space, Matt. So tell us a little bit about your backstory, and then we can kind of talk about what you got, what projects you're working on right now.
All right. Well, you let the cat out of the bag about one of the passion projects that my lovely bride, Lexi, I call her Sexy Lexi, her and I are building in regards to the Empty Nestor Diaries, our YouTube travel channel. But we'll get to that. So you want to know a little bit about my real estate background for the audience listening?
Yeah, give us a brief synopsis of how you got to this point in your career.
Yeah, so I honestly, I avoided real estate. I didn't really care for it. I didn't want to get into it. Swore I'd never get into it because my mom and dad were both real estate brokers. My mom being the top realtor in 2 counties in the late 80s, early 90s. This is back when there were no smartphones, none of this stuff that we're doing here, all this technology and everything. It was, press hard. There's 3 copies. And And, hey, are you guys still awake? I can swing by and we can get this deal done tonight. They countered your counter. And then the next call was to me, hey, son, sorry, we're going to be out a little bit later than expected. You're going to have to, make your own dinner. There's some frozen chicken patties from Price Club, for those, I'm dating myself, from Price Club in the freezer. You'll have to make your own dinner. And I was like, oh man, real estate sucks. It's like, I felt like her clients were more important than me. This is all like as a kid. And I'm sure a lot of if your realtors are watching this, you probably have that, epiphany mindset of like, oh gosh, I don't want to, this business can be all consuming and I don't want to take away from my kids, but yet we're only as good as our last sale. And I'm just hustling on that transactional treadmill. I want to provide the best life for them, but yet I want to be present for them, but yet I can't provide the best life if I'm not making sales. So I got to be present for my clients. And it's like, and then I can't take a vacation to go unwind because it's like the vacation costs you twice. Come on, realtors are really, it costs you twice. It costs you the price of the trip, right? The airfare and all the hotel and the food and all the fun and all that. But then it costs you on lost business because you're stressed. You're like, oh my gosh, a week, 10 days away. Like I'm going to be losing business. I could be getting, and here's the other thing that never fails, right? I'm approaching, it's my 30th year in the business, believe it or not. I started at 19. I'm 49 now, soon to be 50 this year, right? Anyway, the interesting thing is, I won't go down that rabbit trail. I could go anyway, you get the idea. Vacations cost you twice, they're expensive, and real estate is all consuming, right?
Yeah. Well, but some people have figured it out. So how do you figure this out? I mean, how do people balance all that?
Well, that is a great segue to the aspect of building a reoccurring residual type income. That's really how you get freedom in this business when you stop trading time for money, isn't it? Like you've got a large organization as well, Jeff, that's growing and so on. And I'm sure Chase as well. I don't know, specifically, but I'm sure with how talented you are, that's growing as well. That's really why we ended up coming over to the brokerage that we're at, isn't it? Is because we went from the old traditional of just hustling, only as good as our last transaction, and going, man, I'm trading time for money. I'm kind of worn out. How can I make money in my sleep? How can I make money while I'm traveling where I can be fully present with my, my wife, my kids, my family, etc. And the aspect of building residual income through a revenue share model, and then also having equity ownership in the brokerage that we're at. Those are kind of revolutionary. You and I both were at KW years ago, Jeff. I joined in 2000, so 25 years ago, dating myself here. It was revolutionary at the time because you could brand yourself. That was new. I was at Coldwell Banker and it was all about Big Blue. So that was big. The other one was you had a cap. So there was a point where you stopped paying the broker. It was like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? Like, Coldwell Banker, I just keep paying them. And then the third thing was profit share. And it was like, well, what does that mean? Well, okay, when your office makes profit, we're going to share some of it back with you. Well, that makes just total business sense, right? So I made the move for those three reasons. It was a great run. I was there for a decade, as you said, part owner in 3 offices and blah, blah, blah. However, there's a lot of monkey business when you're in that model that can be done because they're individual franchisee owners. We call them OPs, operating principals. And there's a lot of stuff that can happen in the accounting. And there were months where the people I brought over to the business were just killing it in regards to sales. And I'd ask the MCA, the market center administrator, the accountant, whatever, and say, hey, how am I looking on my profit share this month? And he's like, I don't know. And I go, how do you not know this? And he's like, oh, there's so many calculations and so many if thens, then that, and so on. You just have to wait until we, get to the very end and find out. And I'm like, really? Gosh, I didn't, okay. And then it would be like little to nothing money because the office wasn't really profitable, even though my people sold, but the office overall, because they had all these different expenses. Okay. So my best year of profit sharing was 2004 when I was recruiter of the year and I made 19,700. I'm like, hey, I'll take an extra 20 grand a year. That's great. But it's not going to get me off the transactional treadmill. So, fast forward, learned about the company we're at now, EXP, and they said, no, this is not profit share. This is revenue share straight off the top. And I went, oh, so it's like straight math. I could literally check in every day and see what I'm going to get paid out building up for that, the 20th of every month. And I'm like, this is awesome. This is how it should have been before. And my buddy said before I came over, because I originally almost said no to EXP because I thought it was KW, but just online. And I said, well, I did that. My best year was like $20,000. So I don't want to go do all that work again. I'm going to do some other things. And they said, no, that would be a mistake because profit shares at the bottom, revenue shares straight off the top. You're a partner in the company. For every dollar that comes in, 50 cents goes to the company, 50 cents goes to you. And I went, so what would it look like if I did what I did at KW? And they said, it wouldn't be 20 grand a year. It'd be 20 to 30 grand a month. And I went, because I've always been chasing freedom, where I have time and money so that I can go do the things that I want to do with the people that I want to do them with in the location I want to do it and stay for as long and do it as long as I want to do it and so on. Can't really do that with production real estate, right?
Yeah, no doubt. So somebody who is getting, say someone is on that transactional,
treadmill,
roller coaster, yeah, and they have a good producing sales business and they want to start building residual income, right? How much time would you say someone should, getting started, put in toward agent attraction versus obviously they need to keep their bills paid on the sales side? How much time should they dedicate in a week, let's say, to kind of get that residual income going?
Yeah, that's a good question, Chase. I don't know that I would quantify it or break it down into, you should do this much time per day kind of thing. I would rather have you focus on the first year, focus on doing your production because you need right now money, right now income, right? Because we got bills. And realize that revenue share builds up slowly over time. Right? So production's right now, got to pay the bills. So what I would do is I'd focus on growing my production because you will lead and attract other agents and other producers through your production. And that's how I built it. And when I was at KW, I was doing anywhere on a low end, 25 deals to 40 something deals a year. Well, there's 25 to 45 opportunities of agents on the other end, unless I double ended a few, right? And I would just simply ask a question. So Chase, we just closed 123 Main Street. So we got it all done. I'd give you a call. I'd say, hey, Chase, I just wanted to personally call you. Or I might say, hey, let's go grab coffee, and we got it done. So let's celebrate my treat. But let's say I just called you on the phone because that's what I did. Say, hey, Chase, really enjoyed working with you. You're super professional. We got 123 Main Street done. In all honesty, you were aggressive for your client as you should be. And I was aggressive for mine, but you know what? We always kept the professionalism. We always had the end in mind, which is my client wants to sell, your client wants to buy. Let's bring them together and keep it going forward through the finish line so that it's rewarding for both people. And Chase, I really felt that you did that. And I just wanted to personally reach out and tell you that I appreciate you. And I hope we could do more deals in the future. Now, you'd respond, right? Because I built you up, notified you. And it was all true. I'm not giving you fluff because people read through that, right? So I would find something, hey, the water heater, that was a battle. And, doggone you, you got the better of me. But we kept it going to the finish line. Good for you, man. Anyway, and then I would transition into, hey, I noticed you're at Remax, blank company, whatever you want to put in there, ABC Real Estate. And looks like you've been there for a little while, Chase would say. Yeah, I've been there, 3 years. I'm curious, was that your first company that you started at? Or? So I'd kind of ask him questions to get him open up a little bit. He'd say, no, I started at Keller Williams and went over to ABC company. Right? And I'd say, hey, I gotta ask because I don't know much about ABC company, or I don't know much about Remax, or I don't really know a ton about Century 21. Tell me, what is it that keeps you at Century 21? What do you love the most about it? Oh my gosh, my broker's amazing. Like he mows my lawn and he cleans the pool and does all this stuff at home. Best broker ever. I go, hey, that's great, right? And so I get into this conversation and I'd say, look, Chase, would you consider yourself learning based or open-minded to learning? Are you a learning person?
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely I am, right? Most agents would say, yeah. Say, great. Hey, let me ask you, are you open-minded to learning about the business model of EXP and all the ins and outs and why so many top producing realtors are making the move and creating not 2, but 3 or 4 different income streams and not really changing anything that they're doing currently? Would you be at least open-minded to spend a little bit of time with me and let me really break down the business model rather than what you've heard out on the street. Is that fair? Would you do that? And you'll probably say yes. Maybe you say, no, I love my broker, right? And I say, well, that's fine. I'll tell you what, I'll circle back around, maybe 6 months, something changes. Maybe they delay your commission or maybe they tick you off somehow or whatever. I've been doing this a long time. It happens sometimes. And, maybe you'll be more open-minded then. Would you, at least save me in your phone? I think you probably already got me in your phone because of the Main Street closing. And so I would just do that. I would simply at the closing notify them sincerely and then ask if they're a learning-based person and open-minded to learning. And then I probably would ask the question, have you ever done a deep dive of EXP with your business hat on and really looked at the model as opposed to what you've heard out just conversationally on the street? Yes or no, right? What do you think, Jeff?
I think it's great. I love it. I loved what you had to say about become a bigger producer, because it's true. There's two things I tell people. If you want to be a good attractor, first of all, you need to be more attractive. And how do you become more attractive? You become a better leader. So you work on yourself. It's constant working on yourself, because John Maxwell, one of my favorite authors, he wrote a concept called the law of the lid. If I don't keep growing, my organization's not going to grow beyond me. It's a lid. So I have to continue to improve myself. And that's why I love so much of this is about service to other people. So you become a better leader, become more attractive. And number two, you understand the model. You understand what we offer to help the pain points of people that are struggling. And there's a lot of agents right now that are struggling. Right now, they need a solution. There's people that are praying on their knees right now that there's something else better out there for them. And it's unfortunate because our industry is, in a way, it's kind of broken. Okay. There's not a lot of companies out there that offer an exit strategy. There's very few, right? So, all you got to do is go to a CE class and you see a lot of people walking in there and they are coming in sometimes with walkers. I kid you not. And they really don't have anything to stand on. Right? Because we're not really taught in real estate how to build a retirement. Hopefully, those of us that understand investments are investing in real estate. Perhaps we're investing into the market, but we're really not taught that. So we go out and we just do it transaction to transaction. And I think the difference between somebody that becomes wealthy in the revenue share game versus somebody that just does a lot of business is that if most agents, if they look at a deal versus an agent, they will always chase the deal. I have a choice between going after a listing and going after an agent, a strong agent. I will not go to that listing every day of the week. I'll go straight to that agent because I can get paid on that agent in perpetuity.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you had said you wanted me to share a couple of the things that I'm working on or excited about.
Yeah.
And one of the things, it's kind of interesting. You mentioned our industry is broken a little bit. We're really at this interesting kind of cross point in time in our profession, our industry. Have you heard of the Silver Tsunami?
No.
Okay. Silver Tsunami, these are basically baby boomers, right? That are coming to retirement age or whatever in all different fields. But let's just take real estate, for example. The average age per the NAR, National Association of Realtors, I've heard different. I've heard anywhere from 60 years old to 57, somewhere 55. So late 50s, early 60s as a whole is the average age of our industry right now. I heard that. I went, oh my gosh, that's amazing, right? Like, wow. So what that means is you have a lot of these boomers, will say, that have been building their business, building a great book of business, doing a lot of volume, selling a lot of homes, building relationships, building their sphere of influence. And now they're a little tired. They're like, okay, I've been doing this 15, 20, 25 years, right? And so on. And they're like, okay, now they're starting to think, what is the next step? Like, do I want to grow my business? Because when we're in the business new or even kind of mid-range in our business, you set a goal and you hit your goal that year and they go, man, that's a great job. And you get the plastic trophy and the plaque and all that stuff that's worthless, but it feels good. And then they say, okay, what are you going to do next year, Chase? You did 50 deals this year. It's amazing. And he's like, I don't know. I think I'll do 60. I think I'll do 75. And it was like, okay. And you're like, oh gosh, I'm going to do more, and then you hit 75. They're like, great. Another plastic trophy and all this stuff. And all, like, oh, okay, now what are you going to do? And he's like, I think I'm going to go for 100. I'm going to do 100, Meanwhile, family suffering. He's not gone on a vacation in 2 years, and all that, but he's hitting his goals, making a crap ton of money, right? But it's like, is he living his best life? I don't think so. Not in my opinion. So, we want time and money. We want balance. We want to be able to pour into people and our families and all this stuff. So, anyway, we have the Silver Tsunami. We have these people that have been in that mode of like, I got a good book of business, but I'm almost kind of captive to my business or a slave to my business now, because it's really hard for realtors to just walk away, to just step away, right? Especially if you're doing 10, 15, 20, 30 million. That's like big money. That's great money. You're just going to like shut her down and walk away? No, I'll prove it to you. Chase, you ever been or even heard of a realtor retirement party?
No,
You ever
never
been invited to one? Yeah?
Never been to one.
Nope, never been to one, right? So that's why some of these are getting their CE with walkers, because they're like, well, shoot, a closing's 15,000. That's kind of good money. So we have that going on in aging industry. We have last year the NAR lawsuit and the settlement and the changing of who handles and pays commissions and different contracts and all this learning curve on that, right? And I mean, let's face it, humans love change. They love to learn new things, right? Nope. Humans are creatures of habit. And especially those realtors that are 20, 25 years in the biz, most of them are like, oh my gosh, I don't want to reinvent myself and learn new things. Like, I just kind of want to do my thing, And then on top of that, we got AI. And AI, they're like, hey, if you're not embracing AI, boomer realtor, like, you're going to be irrelevant in 24 to 36 months. It's happening that fast. You better get on the train. And they're like, one more thing. And then it's like, social media, they've been just beat over the head on social media. You better be posting every day and you better be on camera, which, people love just picking up the phone and being on camera and just putting themselves out to everybody, right? I mean, they do it all the time. No, realtors are like, I can't even hardly get a realtor to get on Zoom with their camera on, right? I mean, it's like they don't have their face on. It's too early and it's 11:30 in the morning. And it's like, we should be able to have our camera on and ready to go. So, they got all that going on, this pressure of social media, and you got to be learning that. And what platform do you use? Do I use YouTube? Do I use TikTok? Do I use Instagram? You should use them all. It's like, oh my gosh, right? So like all these different things going on. Then we got clear cooperation. We got Zillow duking it out with Compass and this and, all that stuff going on. And they're like, gosh, like there's so much turmoil in the industry right now. I think it might be a good time to exit stage left. But how do I do it? Because I'm reliant on my $500,000, $300,000 income, right? So here's what I'm excited about. You have the Silver Tsunami, this wave coming, right? They would sunset their business. They would exit if there was a way that they could sell their business and actually have it quantifiable where it was a decent, payday. $750,000, $500,000, $250,000, etc., and have it paid out over, 18, 24, 36 months. They're like, yeah, I might take that. And if they could keep their like best clients, maybe their top 10 or 15 or 20, and I could still work those, but sell my database and everything else and make 300,000, but yet, still make 100,000 in commissions because I'm keeping my best. Yeah. So my partners and I are actually put together a system to identify those that are looking at selling and those that are up and coming in this industry, not brand new. We don't want brand new agents. We want those that are 5 years, 7 years. Maybe they're doing 6 million, 8 million, 10 million. They want to grow to 20 or 30 million, etc. And how do we marry those two together? And we have it where there's just massive stickiness and quantifiable asset in a book of business, because that's been one of the issues. There's a book called The Golden Handoff. Have you heard of that, Jeff?
Sure have. Yep.
Yeah. So there's a revised version, and my business partner is in one of the chapters there, now referenced in the revised version, and talking about this new sales process and how we've really got it fine-tuned and so on. And so that's something I'm really excited about because it's something new. It's a new wrinkle in real estate. I'm going out and finding the next listing or the next buyer, it's great, but it doesn't excite me out, 30th year. It's like, okay, what's some other things in real estate that can kind of stretch me and grow me and so on. So that's something really excited. So if, any of your listeners or whatever, if there's somebody out there that's like, hey, I'd like to buy an existing book of business because that can get this up and comer to go from 10 million to like 20 million quick, right? Because it's an established book of business and they can do it no out of pocket money. They don't have to come out of pocket for it. We've developed this whole system. So, reach out to either Jeff or myself. And if you're thinking about, hey, everything Matthew is saying about maybe selling my business and tired, yeah, that resonates with me. I would be interested to find out how that works and what I could sell my book of business for and so on. So that's another wrinkle that we're building out and I'm excited about and kind of, starting to mentor people on and so on.
That's good stuff, Matt. That's good stuff. Let's go back to EXP for a moment. And oftentimes, we talk to people throughout the country. We coach people and stuff. When you hear people say, "Well, all EXP all they do is recruit," what do you say to that, Matt?
I'd say, well, I mean, tongue in cheek, I'd say, yeah, EXP and every other brokerage out there, because if they're not recruiting, they're dying. They're going down. I mean, Coldwell Banker became Coldwell Banker and lasted 100 years because they recruit agents. And they have for 100 years, right? Mr. Coldwell, Mr. Banker, et cetera, right? Remax, they had a different model. They recruited agents to that model. Keller Williams became number one in the world because they had a new model in real estate 30 years ago that was revolutionary. Got the word out. It was more value proposition to agents. They came, they moved, right? Me being one of them. EXP came and has transformed the industry. And there's a huge value proposition for agents and realtors, so much so that it's so life-changing and so lucrative that we at EXP that have finally seen the light and made the move, I wish I would have done it much sooner. And I know many at EXP go, yeah, I said no initially. I kicked myself. I should have come over sooner, but I was stubborn and prideful and, a lot of realtors out there, a lot of pride in real estate. Anyway, but the reason that they are excited on reaching out to their real estate buddies at other companies and talking about EXP is it is so lucrative for them personally, but then it's also so lucrative and the opportunity is so great for their buddies. If they're truly your friend, they're reaching out to you because they're loving on you. They're not trying to get you. They're trying, well, maybe they are trying to get you to see something much better. Maybe that's what it is. It's like, hey, I'm just trying to get you to open your eyes and be open-minded to something that could transform your family's financial future, and we could do it together. So that's where that passion and excitement comes. And whenever you have a mass of people that are passionate and excited, it turns heads. People are like, so some will be drawn to it. Some will be like, I don't know, that repels me. I don't want anything to do with that. Even though they're ignorant as all get out on what the real ins and outs of EXP truly are. And I say that. Any of you viewers, if you've been one of those, you're like, yeah, EXP, kind of sneer your face. And if we really had an honest conversation, just you and me over a beer or wine or whatever your favorite drink is, and said, okay, tell me what you know about EXP. I bet the majority of them, once we dove down deep, really don't know jack squat about EXP. They think they do. They've heard it on the street with their buddies or what some other third party who's on the outside looking in just like them has said stuff about EXP, but they don't really know the inner workings and the inside stuff because if they did, they would be here. Take it from a 30-year veteran who's been at different brokerages and different models. There's not another brokerage model in the business that I would be at. And I recruit daily. So I know all the models out there. EXP, head and shoulders the best model going for us as agents to change our lives. And that would be a great segue. And well, how's it changing your life, Matthew? Well, you got the Empty Nestor Diaries.
So Matt, how's that changing your life going? Tell us about it.
So how has EXP changed your life, Matthew?
Yeah, we'd love to hear.
Well, so you got the Empty Nestor Diaries. Okay. That's a little pet project, dream of mine was to have a YouTube travel channel. And I love travel. I've traveled the world. My wife, we're both second marriages. God brought us together. It's amazing, amazing story. Don't have time for it. But she'd never traveled. She would joke and she goes, well, yeah, I've been to Reno, Nevada. I'm like, okay. Well, so she'd hear all my stories of India and Cambodia and pulling teeth in Cambodia and bungee jumping in New Zealand and skydiving here and safaris in South Africa. She's like, what? I go, babe, let's do it. I want to take you around the world. I'll be your tour guide. Let's do it. Right. So for the longest time, I wanted to document it on YouTube. but I never pulled the trigger because it's like, oh, there's so much to know. I'm busy in real estate. I'm doing all this stuff, and so on. And finally, there was a saying that I heard, and you guys have all heard it. Done is better than perfect, right?
Yeah.
In fact, I think you and I were talking about this, Jeff, when you were like, I need to do a podcast, right? I think you're like, you know what? Done is better. I'm doing it. And look at you, man. You're doing it. Now I'm a guest on your podcast.
Yeah. I think we get so busy making a living, we forget to make a life, and it's like you're making a life and it's beautiful and you've created margin in your life to do so. And I don't think that happens overnight. I think you've worked years and years and years to be able to do that. We both have to learn how to do this and understand how to leverage systems and tools and develop leaders in our organization, right? That to me, that's just not something that happens overnight. And, in fact, Matt, tell me some things you've learned along the way. What's been transformative to you, in this business or perhaps just as a human being over the last couple of decades? Because you and I have been doing this for a while.
Yeah, good question. So I think one of the big ahas for me, because I wanted freedom so badly straight from the beginning, because of kind of what I grew up with my mom doing real estate and all that. Incidentally, I held out for a long time. I got started at 19, right? But I was like, okay, I'm going to do it differently. I want to get these income streams that are more residual in nature to get my freedom. And so I was always on the hunt, always looking. I guess you could say I was chasing money to a degree, because if I had enough money, then I wouldn't have to work so hard, and then I could get my time back and I'd have money and time, right? And that's not really the right mindset, I've learned, because if your focus is chasing money, there's things that are going to fall by the wayside that are really kind of foundational type things, like relationships potentially, some of the experiences that you could have done along the way, enjoying the journey. I was so focused on getting to the finish line. And so therefore was like, I got to chase money to get to the finish line so then I could live my life. Right. And I realized that's a huge mistake, because it kind of clouded my judgment in a sense, to where I wasn't the best version of myself. I would say I wasn't honoring not only me, but more importantly, I wasn't honoring the Lord and all the things that I, was doing and what have you. It was almost that I was, in my pursuit of chasing money to get ultimately this freedom, I was putting money and that pursuit of freedom ahead of my relationship with the Lord, which is foundational for me. I love Christ more than I love my wife, and she loves him more than me. And that's why I have such a great marriage. That would probably be the biggest aha, just kind of put me on the spot there, is like, yeah, don't go chasing money, or for me, chasing freedom. Enjoy the journey, work your tail off, be very present when you're working so that you can be more efficient in the time that you're there doing it. Be willing to shut it down and be okay to shut it down. Like, that was the other thing in our profession. Like, it's kind of like always running. We either are on, or if we're not on, it's still on in the background. Yeah. And if you don't believe me, go on a vacation as a realtor. You fully present? Chase, you gone on vacation?
Not a whole lot, Matt.
When you do, are you fully present?
Yeah, not always, man. And that's a great point. I feel like you run across a lot of people that have that problem where they don't really ever unplug or step away. How long did it take you, Matt, being in this industry for so long? Like, when did that aha happen for you?
Pretty early on, actually, because of growing up in it my entire life. I am 50 this year. Parents been brokers over 50 years. So literally my entire life is real estate. And I had such a kind of bad taste in certain things of it, just like mom gone all the time kind of thing. And I love my mom. She's a hard worker. She's amazing. I'm not here bagging on my mom, but that was just the industry and what you had to do at the time. But I just said, okay, I'm going to do some of the things that I want to do. I'm going to travel. And so I did. Like, I'd do a 3-week trip to South Africa and do safari. Pretty darn hard to be writing offers and checking in on real estate and doing all that stuff when you're in South Africa, on a game drive and all that stuff. And realtors would go, how do you do it? Like, how are you traveling? Like, what happens to your business? I go, what happens? If I lose a client, I lose a client. It's okay. There's an unlimited number of clients. I've developed skills I can go generate. I can, call expireds. I could work FSBOs. I could door knock. I'll go hustle and be fully present when I'm here working to get my business going. The other thing is I hired an assistant That was another thing. And I empowered her that, hey, you don't need to check in on me at every question you got. Like, I really had her feel empowered that she could make decisions. And even if they were wrong and it was catastrophic, she's not getting fired. Well, unless it was like moral, ethical, but she wasn't that way. She's great. We'll fix it. We'll fix it. And if it all unwinds and is just a total, crap show, as they say, there's another one. We'll go get another one. It's okay. It's just money. We'll earn more, right? But I wanted experiences because I realized it's like, man, you could sacrifice so much to go get money and more sales and not enjoy the journey or have experiences in life. So I did it pretty early on, but I still had the mindset of chasing money, which I was like, I don't know. I think I'd rather chase really solid relationships and grow my sphere and contribution into others, because that tends to come back usually, 2, 10, 100-fold.
You and I, go ahead, Chase.
Real quick. Sorry, Jeff. I just want to comment on one thing you said that I really like was when you said, I've developed skills to where I can go and do it again, and I think that's a level of confidence, basically like, hey, if I lose a client or whatever, or if everything just comes unraveled, we can get it back. We know that we can work hard. We have the skill set to go out there and find people to help, and we'll find them. It just is only a matter of time, and you put in the work and you do it. So you do what you want to do, and then you get back in the game. So I really I like that.
I would add another huge component is the aspect of faith. And in life is all about faith. And whether you're a believer in Christ or whoever, whatever, everything in life comes down to faith. I mean, even when you sit down in your office chair, you have faith it's going to hold you up that time. You don't, like test it each time. You're like, I got faith in life and thing. I turn on my car, it's going to turn on. I'm going to drive, So really figuring out where you're put your faith, right? To me, I chose Christ. And so he says, I'll take care of you. He says, I'll provide for you. You should not worry, right? If I provide for the sparrows and I provide this and so on, right? Like even the lilies of the field are a grander splendor than, Saul. Who was it, Jeff? Yeah. Yeah. But he was talking about even greater splendor than, and I can't remember the king, not King David, but his son. His son was
Solomon.
Solomon. That's right. So he says, I will provide and take care of you. So I just went, you know what? I believe that. So I'm going to go and on this trip and go to the safari, create amazing memories. I'm going to come back and my business is going to be there. It's not going to all fall apart and I'm just going to like all of a sudden be homeless. Like it's not going to happen.
Yeah, Jeff and I were just talking about that same thing. How many times in the Bible it says, fear not, or, you have nothing to worry about, right? The Lord provides.
Interestingly, it says it 365 times. Fear not. Isn't that interesting? Every day of the year. To go back to what you were saying about how easy it is to chase money, Matt, you and I have such a similar story, and over the last few years, I've learned how to not and just chase relationships, and then the money you'll be rewarded with the finances. But if you think about our industry, there's a lot of temptation to bow down to the almighty dollar. We're surrounded by it all the time. If you look on social media, you got a bunch of agents out there talking about how amazing they are. You have no idea what their business is truly like, but they look great on social media. People are applauded, accolades for big awards, for transactions, for all this. We live in a very reward-based industry, so it's very easy to get sucked into that, and it's very easy to compare yourself. And quite honestly, that's really hurt me at times where I've compared myself to other people and I just beat myself up. And I was like, I got to stop doing that. I just got to be the best version of myself. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Comparing is no bueno, man. It's bad. Like there's not much good that can come from that. Either it swells your pride or you get into like depression kind of thing. If you're someone that compares all the time, I don't think there's middle ground there. I think it's either going to trend towards pride or it's going to trend towards inadequacy. I'm not enough and defeated and so on. It's just better to embrace and celebrate someone else's wins and knowing and having that faith that your win's coming. It may be delayed in your mind, but God's timing's always perfect. He's got a plan, he says, I got a plan for you. It's to bless you and not harm you. Right. So we just got to trust in all that. And that's kind of, back to the empty nester diaries kind of thing. That was like, all right, we're just going to do it. I don't have it all figured out at all. Done is better than perfect. Let's launch it. And I'll tell you, I'm happy to say as of last week, last week or maybe the Friday before last week, we became monetized, which, it's 1,000 subscribers and 1,000 watch hours. It's no small feat, but in the grand scheme of influencers, 1,000 subscribers is, a little drop in the bucket. But here's an interesting stat. So I was kind of beating myself up, okay, on the aspect of comparing. So I was like, okay, I thought, and this is probably ego and pride, I don't know. I thought, well, we should be able to hit monetize less than a year, like 1,000 subscribers. I mean, no problem, right? We should do it. Took us like 16 months. And the whole time I'm kind of like, I'm looking at these other creators and I'm kind of comparing and I'm like, oh gosh, we seem just as good, if not better in some areas than they are. And they're at like 40,000 and we're like struggling to get 1,000, we're celebrating every new subscriber. And what was really interesting about it is everybody's got their own journey and you don't know when your hockey stick moment's going to come, right? So we finally got monetized. Yay. That's great. It doesn't mean we're making big money like at all. It's like, $1 a day or $2 a day. Like we got to build it up. But yeah, it's been a really humbling and interesting journey. And I'm so glad I did it because it's something totally outside of real estate, which I've done my whole life, right? It's like everything in my life's real estate related. This is not. This is travel. This is building circles of influence of people that would not be in my sphere of real estate or talking EXP or recruiting or agents and buyers and sellers and all that, right? It's this whole separate thing. And I'll tell you, when you stretch yourself, there's some magical stuff that can happen, Like my wife, Lexi, I kind of had to drag her along in the beginning. She was like, I don't know, man. We were growing slow. We're like, hey, we're 69 subscribers. Yay, 71. Oh, and she's like, I don't think, man, this is a lot of work. I go, babe, it's going to happen. We're going to get there. And then, it's going to start accelerating. And this will be another, income stream. And we'll have greater influence with other people and all this stuff. Well, now she's seeing the vision. She latched onto my faith. And that would be something I tell all of you out there. That if your faith is small, find somebody that's got big faith and latch onto them and have them be an accountability partner or, or a motivator or a coach or whatever. And just tap into somebody else's faith until you can get yours built up. And then, maybe someday you'll be that big, strong faith for somebody else. They go, hey, I'm tapping into your faith. You're like, dang, I've grown.
This is good stuff, Matt. So how does someone subscribe to your channel?
Yeah, just go to YouTube and just search in the upper search bar, The Empty Nester Diaries. And, check it out. If you find some value, subscribe. But I mean, honestly, viewing is like more important than, we'd love for you to subscribe. Don't get me wrong. Subscribe. But, viewing and commenting and liking, the algorithm really likes all that stuff. And sharing, if you go, hey, check out Matt and Lex. Matthew and Sexy Lexi.
That's right. And one of the things Chase and I laugh about is we have this saying, #winners only. Winners only. And today I'm hanging out with two winners. One of the greatest things I love about eXp Realty is just the friendships I've made over the years across the country. And it's like I see Matt on Zoom all the time and it's like we're together. We know each other so well. So when we get to see each other, it's like a reunion. It is really a special thing. So I'm so blessed to know Matt, and I just want to thank you, Matt, for coming out today. You gave us some good nuggets to think about. And any last word you want to give us out there in the world, Matt? What you got? Anything else?
I've said a ton, man. I just appreciate the opportunity to be invited on and hang with you guys. The next step, Jeff, is we got to get back on the basketball court.
Yeah, you owe me.
Yeah.
Awesome, Matt. We sure appreciate you. And my friends, if you want to learn a little bit more about me and Chase, what we're doing in Phoenix, we've just launched a whole video series on the buyer process and really breaking it down and how we save buyers money, how we negotiate hard for our clients. So we have a whole seller series, we have a whole buyer series, and we have our VIP buyer program. So if you're an agent and you want to separate yourself from the pack, we have our own VIP proprietary program where we're actually saving our clients more than $5,000 through all the affiliates, all the alliances we have with vendors around the area that have been properly vetted. And so that's just one of the things we offer. So I'm stoked to just be here with you guys. I hope you log in, and maybe we can get the amount of subscribers that Matt has on his channel. So we could use your help.
It's happening. It's already on its way, my man.
All right. So signing off for Chase, Matt, we appreciate all you guys. God bless your day. Thanks for tuning in.